Well, hello, Cardinals fans. The VEB podcast is back with our latest episode, and it is great to have you with us and great to have you willing to listen to some Cardinals content because, as you all know, and as we all know, the Cardinals have not been playing particularly well, and that doesn't lead everyone to want to watch baseball and talk about baseball and listen to baseball stuff. But on my TV, which is up there on the screen, I see it as 6-3 Mets on what night is it? Is it Wednesday night? On Wednesday night, here
6-3
on
now. Oh
May
my.
7th. Yeah, 6-3 Mets. So probably another loss because that's just how much confidence I have in the Cardinals offense coming back from that deficit. But hey, we are here to have some fun and we are here to take your questions, and that's what this episode is going to be all about. We're going to talk a little bit about what's going on with the Cardinals, but then we're going to dig into your questions, and you had quite a lot of them. And if you're not all that interested in talking about what's going on with the Redbirds, don't worry. We have some fun questions to answer as well. So our goal today is to do what the Cardinals aren't doing, and that's to keep you, our faithful listeners and readers, entertained and have some fun. So hopefully we can do that today for you. So let's just jump in. We'll go left to right on my screen. We'll start with Adam. Adam, it's been a while since we've been together on the podcast. That's all my fault. But what have you been up to in the break?
Not a whole lot, man. Just, kind of having a lot of copium just to deal with the start of the season and probably with how it's going to go for the rest of the year. Looking forward to a lot of the minor league play and seeing the development of the prospects. That's where my excitement is leaning towards so far.
Yeah, that's another reminder, everyone. You can always watch the minor leagues. So the games don't count, but the players do matter. Heather, what what have you been up to?
Okay, well, apart from doing some recaps and some previews, so I have to watch a little bit of the games because I'm obligated to. I bought a computer. Haven't had one for a couple years now, and I bought a gaming laptop so I could play Baldur's Gate 3, and
Ooh,
I've been playing some Baldur's Gate 3, which I've never played a PC game before. Last year, because the Cardinals were bad, I got really into I bought a Switch, got really into video games, so I'm trying that out. We'll see how it goes.
right, right.
My character's a monk. It's very fun to be a monk. I never played D&D or anything like that, so I'm kind of learning, but it's been pretty fun.
That's good. If the Cardinals totally tank this season, which is possible, we should all start like a VEB Writers D&D campaign or something. And
I'd be down. I've always wanted to play
it's a lot of
because I
fun.
like watching. I watch like Dimension 20 and listen to NADPOD and all that stuff. So I know kind of how to play, but I've never played. But it sounds like my kind of thing. You guys, if you've read any of my like what is it? What do we call it? What is that called? Fan fiction, but
Oh
about the
yeah,
Cardinals. My Cardinals fan fiction. That's I got the brain for it. I think I
nice,
could do it.
nice. Well, instead of bogging us down with D&D talk, which I could do all day,
Yeah,
Gabe,
sorry.
save us from our total nerddom. What have you been up to, man, the last month?
I don't know if I can help you with it. Total nerdum, although I've never played D&D, nor do I know how to play. So I guess I'm just a little bit above you guys from not being a nerd. That's the only. But I went to the game last night, and up until the fifth inning when they scored 3 runs, that was like so lifeless. Like the crowd was just like might as well not have been there. And then when they scored 3 runs, the rest of the game they were into it. But wow, that was about as bad as I've been to a game in a while.
Yeah.
Well, I'll admit I have not been to a game. I've started watching games again. I updated the site, so I don't need to go through this. But if you're podcast only, if that's your way of getting information, I both had to finish my dissertation, and then I went to Paraguay for 2 weeks. In fact, we got a Paraguay related question that I will answer here soon. And so, yeah, I mean, I actually watched part of one game while I was in Paraguay, which was sort of interesting. But yeah, I'm just now trying to get caught up on what's been going on with the Cardinals. And if you want to blame what's happened on anyone not watching, you can just blame it on me. That's fine. I'll take that blame. So, but I'm watching it and they're still not winning. So I guess it wasn't my fault. I guess it was just their own faults. But trying to get caught up, trying to see what's going on with this team that has been struggling on offense and was having mediocre pitching, but I'm starting to become a little bit more, I wouldn't say concerned because I've always been concerned, but it's starting to show its cracks as well. And yeah, team is struggling a bit. So, guys, before we jump into the questions, let me just ask you, and you can take your own approach to it. No, no set thing here, but I just want to see from your opinions, from either watching every day or watching from a distance, what in the world is going on with this Cardinals team? Is this what we should have expected? Is this what we did expect? Or should we expect things to turn around? And Gabe, since you went to the game last night and you've been paying the most attention, we'll start with you, man. Tell us what we need to know.
Um, we should not have expected it to happen like this. If you expected the Cardinals to be bad, it should not have been because of the offense, which even tonight they scored 3 runs in the first inning, then let the pitcher off the hook. He's going to maybe throw 5 innings of 3-run ball. And I don't really understand why we can't just explode for a bunch of runs. Like that just isn't happening. We're not hitting homers. I honestly, I don't know. Like there's no easy explanation for what's happening there. The pitching has been as advertised in a quote unquote good way, depending on your point of view, because if the offense was as advertised, we'd be 500 or better, guaranteed. So yeah, we shouldn't have expected to happen this way, even if you expected it to happen where we're like 3 or 4 games under 500 by this point.
Yeah. Adam, do you agree? I mean, I've looked at some of the stats and I kind of see it in there, but what are you saying?
Yeah, so I'll agree with Gabe to a degree because it is decently shocking to see, the decline of Goldschmidt, just how much he has rapidly declined, so far this year. You're seeing zone contact rates go down. You still see the swing speed there, but, there's still a bit of an aging going on. Arenado, you're seeing the swing speed go down as well. The zone contact rate still up there, so you think he's going to continue to age in his 30s, okay? But everybody else, the struggles you see there, it is quite shocking. But the one thing I do want to add, the caveat, is that I'm quite shocked at some of the decision making in terms of our lineup creation. The team is in terms of the route the team has taken in some instances, right? So we see Victor Scott making the opening day roster. For me, that was a little shocking. Just we're pretty high on Victor. He's a top 100 prospect, and we think he can hopefully be an everyday player. But to see him make the opening day roster after only having 60, 70 games at Double-A and having that stint in the AFL, I think to me was a little premature, and it's going to hurt his development. You're seeing him still struggle. You're seeing him struggle at AAA. So for me, it's a little bit of both. You're seeing some struggling with the offense, right? Some of the hitters are struggling, and it's kind of shocking where we didn't expect it. A little bit of poor decision making, head scratchers, and also the rotation. We thought, this was no surprise, right? We saw this coming into the season. They didn't do their due diligence in getting the 2, potentially 3 good starters, top of the line rotation starters that they needed. They only got 1, and they tried to patchwork it with Gibson and Lynn with the 2 threes. And from there, going into March and April, we knew that there was going to be some lackluster rotation pitching. The bullpen's been fantastic. We know that. 7, 8, 9 with Kittredge, Romero, and Helsley, and even Ryan Fernandez in the 6th inning. Liberatore's had some success, but overall, there's just not enough carrying the lineup and, the rotation from a bulk perspective, the at-bats and the innings from the rotation for the team to have that much success. So, at this point, I didn't expect them to have, that much success. I expected maybe below average, but, for me, seeing where they're at right now, I'm not fully shocked, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, the way I'm kind of looking at, besides this recent slide, they're 4 or 5 games under 500, and that's with basically, if I look right now, this is Wednesday night. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hitters on the Cardinals just with any at bats at all that have a plus WAR ratio. Now I realize it's really early to be looking at WAR, but one of those is Jose Fermin with his 13 plate appearances, and another one is Michael Ziani with 58 plate appearances. There's only 3 regulars with a positive FWAR on the season, and one of them is Wilson Contreras, who is now, out for a while. Before we started recording, Wilson Contreras was hit by a bat, I think. Gabe, were you watching?
Yeah, he's got a fracture in his arm. I think he's done for a while. I don't know how long that lasts, but it looked so bad. He was screaming in pain.
Yeah.
It was ugly to watch.
Yeah, I saw the stuff come across Twitter and then started looking for highlights. Didn't see any highlights, and that made me understand why the announcement came so fast. So, Yeah, must be pretty bad. So our best offensive player at 1.7 FWAR, 166 WRC plus. Wilson Contreras out for, I would guess, several months, and that's not good news for an offense that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 negative FWAR players, and I'm not even counting the guys that are at 0 because there's a couple of those too. So it's been about as bad as it could be for that offense. And yeah, like Gabe said, if the offense was what we'd expect, probably some of those losses would be wins. And even though the pitching staff has only been mediocre, which is about what we expected, probably this is a 500 team. Or honestly, kind of, exactly what we said they would be before the season began. So, Scooter, how are you feeling about all this?
Well, it's disappointing. I normally one of my favorite things is baseball, and it's just not enjoyable to watch. It's kind of hard to explain because there are some teams, even when they're not doing well, it's not unenjoyable to watch them, but kind of like, I don't know if this was before or if we were recording at the time when Gabe said he was at the game and he said it was just lifeless in the stands. Like, that's just not a good time. And so I don't know if it's because of maybe, I don't know, maybe how they're losing, or if it's just that it doesn't feel like there's much effort or strategy to improve, because this kind of seems like a very similar, and the team last year underperformed, to be sure, but it doesn't seem like they changed very much to get better, and now they're the same as they were the season before, maybe not quite as bad of a start. And of course they are, they didn't change very much. So
Yeah.
I think there's a little bit of glumness trying to watch baseball now, which is extra disappointing because I normally really like it.
Yeah. Kind of feel it around the site too. I just checking
Mhm.
some of our view numbers, checking some of the thoughts, the comment. I mean, comment totals have still been good, but it just, you can tell people are kind of starting to lose interest, and you're seeing it in the stands. You're seeing it in people's comments on Twitter. You're just seeing it all around. It's like, why should we watch this team again?
Yeah.
Because we're going on basically 7.5 months worth of baseball season right now that haven't been worth watching, and we just frankly haven't experienced that as Cardinals fans. Most of
Mhm.
us
I'm
haven't, and
spoiled.
yeah, we're very spoiled. Yeah, but also we have high expectations because of that, and that's the thing. So, is there good news? Someone give me some good news. Give me something to be excited about on a day where we just lost our best player, and we're going to be under that many more games under 500. Is there any good news out there? Anybody? Tell me something, please.
Sonny Gray,
Yeah.
and
He's been good.
he's been better than expected. And if you had there was some debate over whether he's really a number one starter. He's a number one starter.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah. Like,
No
no
question.
matter how you find number one starter, he's a number one starter. So that's the good news. There's also Mason Wynn. Now he's sort of come back to earth a little bit, but it seems like he can handle big league pitching, which was the number one question mark with him during the season. It's so weird that the offense is this bad, and Mason Wynn hasn't been one of the bad ones. That is so weird to me. Like,
um
this season doesn't make sense again. I don't.
it's the multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I had to double check this before I said it out loud, so I didn't sound more stupid than I usually do. Lance Lynn has been better than I thought he would be.
Yeah, I mean, it was the thing with Lynn and with Gibson is something. Although Gibson's starting to make it not matter because his starts lately have been pretty good, but some of these pitchers, it just really depends on the stats you look at. So you want to be optimistic, look at their ERA. You want to be a little more disappointed, look at their FIP. It just kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, but the end result is pretty good. I just want to say this real fast. Sonny Gray, 30 innings pitched, 0.89 ERA, a 33.3% K rate from Sonny Gray. I mean, it's just absurd. We talked so much about his home run rate and how that was going to regress. Well, it's better. It's better than it was last year. How is that even possible? I mean,
this would be the best not home run, strikeouts to walk ratio I think he's had in his career.
oh
I
yeah,
haven't, let me see it, because his walk rate is the lowest at least per 9. I'm not looking at percentages. Let me go to percentages. This is the lowest walk rate of his career and the highest K rate of his career so far. I mean, it's only been 30 innings or whatever. So that's the caveat there. You can't really draw a lot of conclusions, but it's cool.
If he held up
28.9% Ks per walks.
Yeah, if he held up these totals for, even if they regress some, you're talking about one of the lowest walk rates among starters probably in Cardinals history. That might not be the case because some of those guys in the 80s didn't walk anyone. But definitely as far as like among starters, highest K rates, I mean, Gray is going to challenge that. And that's with guys like Carpenter and others around for a while that could really strike guys out. I mean, 33.3 for a closer is awesome. So seeing that from a starter at this point in the season is crazy.
I hate to point this out. He has faced the Oakland Athletics and the White Sox, I think, in 2 of his starts. I do hate.
We're doing positives, Gabe. We're doing positives.
No, I'm just merely pointing out that like he should be doing that against not that, but he should be really good against those teams. I wouldn't look at those numbers and say he's going to do that against the Dodgers or something.
Yeah. I mean, it's not going to hold up, but really though, like you said, we weren't sure whether he's an S. He is. And even if he falls back to what he was a couple seasons ago, the cushion he's built himself is going to put him in great shape. Adam, you got another thing that we should be excited about or happy about? I've got one too, but go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, with all the injuries and obviously the season not going the way we would have liked, right? I'm just excited to see, all the young players that are coming up to the minor leagues. The team made some moves this offseason and, in the trade deadline last year to acquire some more prospects and to re-up that prospect system. And for me, I'm, seeing a lot of the injuries. I want to see, especially, Wilson Contreras, unfortunately going down, does open up an avenue for Ivan Herrera to catch a little bit more every week. That'll be interesting to see. Obviously with the team potentially not, performing the way we would like, I think that would lead to, an interesting trade deadline. I feel with Heather mentioning with Lance Lynn and, in addition to him, Kyle Gibson, who else might have value at the deadline? It could be Paul Goldschmidt, et cetera. Those guys would all, potentially bring back at least a little bit of value. And, if the Cardinals are not in contention, it would behoove them to at least explore the market and see what they could get for those guys in return, especially given their expiring contracts, right? So I would like to see, just going forward, what the plan is, how they go forward, if they're within, 10 games out of like 500 or, if they're still, more than 6, 7, 8 games out of first place, out of the Central by the time we get to the trade deadline. I would like to see what the strategy is. And at that point, I would really hope that maybe they kind of tear it down and, try to get a few more prospects and not rebuild, but kind of retool the same way they did last year to continue trying to see, get more pieces in place until, everything falls, kind of balances out in terms of having ample hitting in the lineup and, having the right kind of pitching in the rotation to balance out with the, the already stellar bullpen.
Yeah. Well, we'll have more on that as we go through some of your questions here in a moment. There was a question about the trade deadline and when to give up and stuff like that. So we'll all kind of weigh in on what Adam was sharing there. I wanted to share my thing that I'm excited about, and that's Jojo Romero. Again, it's sort of like last year when I was like, hey, the only guy having a career year is Andrew Kisner. Well, Romero's not the only guy having a career year this year with Contreras before the injury and Gray. But I came into the season pretty shaky on whether Romero would repeat what he did last year. But man, he looks good. His home run rate's gone, back up from last year, which I knew it would happen. But his walks have stayed great. His Ks have stayed great. And yeah, he just looks like he's a really good reliever right now, which is not surprising. I mean, because he kind of did it last year, but also surprising if you remember what his background and history was. So, yeah, I mean, there's some bright spots out there. And if the offense could ever really get going, they could potentially begin to win some games again. So, well, let's jump into our questions and see kind of what we got here. And let me pull those up. And so I'm going to divide these into 3 categories. Basically, there was like front office coaching, related questions, quite a few of those, some questions related to pitching, offense, some fun ones, and then a couple site related ones that we might not get into now, depending on time. And so any questions about the minor leagues, because there was a few, I'm kicking those to a future episode because when we started, Skyrick was supposed to be with us, but he couldn't make it. So Gabe jumped in at the last minute. Gabe hasn't even read the questions yet. But without Blake and Gabe, we would have had Adam, but we really didn't have our minor league, experts on. So I was planning our next episode to be totally minor league related. So this one we're just going to cover what's happening with the Cardinals, and if you're looking for minor league stuff, stay tuned for the next episode. But let's just start here with Zubin's question on the front office, and I'll call on some of you to answer this. But Zubin says this: pretend like you are the supreme overlord of the Cardinals with the powers of Mo Gersh and Marmol combined, and then assume also that we have reasonable financial freedom, which is not the case for you guys we just mentioned. How would you fix the Cardinals, or do you think they need fixing? And so let's just start with that. How would you fix the Cardinals, or do you even think they need fixing? And I guess because he was completely unprepared for the question, so I'll start with Gabe. What would you say, man?
Well, we're talking like immediately, or because I don't know if there's anything you can do except run this year out, just sort of see how it goes, and then if things are going badly at the deadline, you sell. If things
He
are going,
kind of mentions, would you try to win this year next? Would you build for longer terms? I guess just however you choose to answer, it's fine, man.
well, okay. I mean, it would be completely dependent on how we play until the deadline for me, whether with regards to playing for this year or next year, because I as bad as they've been, like it's not that like hard to like make up ground at this point. Like there's 5 months of the season left. I mean, I know last year, obviously, we know it's not easy, but I mean, in terms of like, it's possible. Sorry. um, and I think if we're still in the hard part of our schedule. I mean, honestly, so I don't know, but the problem is I don't know like what they're saying behind the scenes because maybe there's something going on that's causing the offense to suck. I feel like you almost have to consider firing Turner Ward just to maybe put the hitters on notice or something. I don't know.
Yeah. There was an article today, I think it was today, by Katie Wu. And she talked to Ollie and she talked to Turner Ward. And, some of the things they said were some of the things that we've talked about around the site, like the need to pull fly balls and the need to not waste so many pitches down the middle. They've done a lot of that, and it's been a problem. If I remember, it's kind of a problem last year too. So I don't know if it's something with the hitters or something with the approach not working, but it seems to me like if that's true, that Ollie and Ward, their approach is right, but the hitters aren't getting into it. And so either the coaching is wrong or the hitters just aren't good enough, or it's just been weird. So yeah, like you, it seems like there's got to be some things going on behind the scenes, but we don't even know. We can't even say what it is.
Well, the weird thing is that like they say that, and then you hear a bunch of interviews from Goldie and Arenado saying, "I got to hit the other way. I got to hit the
Yeah,
other way."
right.
Like, what are you talking about? Like, why are you guys so obsessed with hitting it the other way? Listen to your strengths, especially Arenado. That dude should never try to. Anyway,
Yeah.
Arenado's interviews annoy me because he's always like talking about it, wanting to hit it the other way more. It's like, why? Your entire
Yeah.
career, you're successful because you hit a bunch of fly balls pulled. That's like your entire success. You don't hit the ball that hard. You don't have like, anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
I
That's
just
like
don't.
one of those baseballisms
Yeah.
that I think players repeat and they not to I don't want to insult the players or anything like that, but they just kind of repeat it because it's like an easy thing to say. Maybe it's like a almost like a toxic a toxic like sacrifice kind of thing where you're like, look at me, I'm a team player, I'm hitting the ball the other way. Non-team players are the ones that pull the ball, like some sort of thing like that is how I kind of see it in my head. Not to psychoanalyze or anything, but
And there's
but why not? What else are we gonna do? Talk about the playing? I don't want to do that. Let's talk about what they're thinking.
well, there's a play today. It was 2-0 on Goldie. It was a pitch slightly below the strike zone, and you could tell he's trying to hit it the other way. It was a grounder with the infield in, and they got it, and we didn't score. Burleson got a single the next, so it didn't impact that. But it's like, what, dude? It's 2-0. Wait for your pitch. What are you doing? Don't just hit it the other way at the first opportunity. Like, I, I don't understand what Goldschmidt and Arenado. Well, Arenado's been better lately, but I just understand what they're saying because that's not how you've been successful, guys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting to see these star players who've had so much success for so long pulling the ball, starting to gaslight the analysts who are now telling them to continue to do so. And for whatever reason, they've stopped. Like, I don't understand. Like, because I mean, pulling the ball when you hit at any, honestly, almost any hard hit range, except for maybe the very bottom, you can get away with spraying it. Like if you're like Luis Arias or Victor Scott or like Stephen Kwan, that kind of guy, right? But if you're Paul Goldschmidt, if you're Nolan Arenado, guys who are capable of slugging 450 or higher a season, depending on which one of those guys is, you still need you have the power, the raw juice to go to left field or to left center as much as you can. You should be doing that as much as you can. And anyone telling them to go oppo, with any pitch that isn't manipulatable towards the left side inherently, unless you have to go to the right side, is foolish to be doing that, right? And that's probably what Heather said is one of those like baseballisms, one of those things where they probably just have to have a quote and kind of hope that most people don't really understand that like we do, right? Kind of mentioning that they have to pull the ball to the left side. But, just in general, that aside from that, you've got just overall, we talked about poor management, where we talked like where, we see why is Victor Scott on the team? Why do you see Michael Ciani continuing to get run in center? Why is, Lars Nootbaar not in center? Does he have a phobia of playing center because he's going to run into Jordan Walker? Jordan Walker is now gone in AAA. Maybe he can play more. Uh, Overall, it's, there's a lot just going on there. And, for me, just seeing going for the rest of the year, I'm more excited just to see what would happen with some of the younger guys or, some more of the player development.
Saying
Well,
a
and that's kind
shameless
of
plug
yeah. Go
of
ahead,
something
Heather.
Blake. I would say I just want to say something Blake wrote, I believe, about the pulled fly ball. He
Yeah.
just on May 5th published something about it's pretty good. I'm sure anyone listening to this has already read it, but if you haven't, check it out. It's pretty good. Pretty
Yeah,
good stuff
it's
in
been something
there.
Blake's been talking about for a while, and it just
Mhm.
shows up. It just screams out of the stats. The pulled fly balls, the lack of hitting meatballs, the difference between WOBA and XWOBA, expected WOBA. I mean, the team just has been underperforming and doing things they shouldn't be doing, and it's it's driving me a little bit crazy. To move down to the second question, also from Zubin, and I'll just go ahead and answer this one. And Adam, you can kind of weigh in, but you already kind of did a little bit. Zubin says, at what point does this year's team sell? And what would need to happen before you think this team should sell again? Here's what I would say. I'm never really been in favor of a total rebuild, but if we get to June, which isn't that far away, maybe mid-June, maybe June 15th, maybe like a full month from now, which would not be the 15th, but it'd be early June. And stuff like this is still happening. We haven't seen some kind of signs of life, and doesn't give me a whole lot of hope that it's going to change with Contreras now out. If things aren't changing, if I were the Cardinals, I would start thinking about doing a pretty full sell-off and a pretty hard rebuild. Because you're talking about Nolan Arenado getting another year older. Goldschmidt's a free agent anyway. At that point, we're not going to be sure about Walker. We're not going to be sure about Gorman. I wouldn't trade those guys away necessarily, but can this team that's probably going to lose Walker, I'm not Walker, sorry, probably going to lose Goldschmidt, will have Gray, but is going to have to completely rebuild their pitching staff again next year. How is that team going to immediately come back to contention? I don't really see it. So I would be in favor of a pretty big sell-off, and that might even include trading Goldschmidt, trading the pitchers, maybe trading Helsley, maybe even trading some of the minor league guys. I don't have any like recommendations or anything. I'm just saying that if last year was sort of a half sell of all the free agents, this year I might be willing to sell some guys that are part of the future to really rebuild the system and just be willing to lose. And that's the first time in a long time that I've ever said that. So we'll see how it
And
goes. But
one thing go ahead, Gabe.
I don't know what you would get for Goldschmidt. Everybody's
well,
seen
yeah, I mean, right. Again, it's not. Yeah, I mean, what are you going to get for him? Probably not much of anything, but any kind of prospect. If you can get another Simmer Bursa, if you get another Adam Kloffenstein, you would just do it because you got to get you got to get some more assets in your system. You got to get talent somewhere.
He's also an impending free agent who probably won't return next year, so I consider him part of a soft sell as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Goldschmidt
And
wasn't my peak. I'm talking like maybe we trade Gorman, maybe we trade Nootbaar. I don't know. I'm not making any suggestions now. I'm just saying I would be more in favor of what you would consider to be a true not a fire sale, but a true rebuild.
I'll say though most of the names you're mentioning are having not great years right now, and
Yeah.
that would be So I would probably not even if I was in favor of a stronger rebuild, I don't think I'm selling Gorman this year, honestly, unless he really explodes. But then
Yeah.
we might need at that point.
Yeah.
One thing I was going to say in terms of, why it might not be a full rebuild and why it might be more of a retool, kind of like what you said, JP, is that, akin to what Blake has kind of already written about, is that the foundation, the cracks in the foundation have, begun to be mended, right? Where we saw for years the pitching development and the plan, the MO for pitching in terms of, pitching to contact, fastball heavy, and not really, just focusing more on just velocity and, movement in the zone and then working outside with your off speed and, your breaking balls. I think, now kind of shifting more towards that latter, what I just said, instead of previously and formerly just kind of focusing more on, fastball instead of, then working towards east to west and trying to miss bats. I would say that because you've now have changed that idea, you can now afford to do a retool because now the more the prospects are coming up to the minor leagues, you're now fixed Sam Robersa, who's striking out more hitters, and who's walking a lot less, and his command is better. You're seeing Takeo Roby have success. You saw Tink Hens have that changeup, improvement last year, and now you're seeing the fastball kind of hold up. I still think overall with the prospects that they have in terms of the pitching, it's not going to dictate a full rebuild because that's really what was the last tool, the last part of the puzzle where they need to buoy the whole roster. Because I think on a good day where maybe you phase out some of the older bats and you get some of the younger guys in, you do have a more advanced lineup. The bullpen's great, and maybe you get some of the younger, more electric arms in the rotation. Maybe you got something cooking, but that's more of a next year thing, in my opinion.
Okay, let's change gears completely. I love these like hard stops and resets. So totally unrelated question. Throw one of these fun ones in there. This is from Bedivere. All right. I cannot believe how non sequitur this question is. When you're having a burger, presumably a cheeseburger, what's your favorite cheese to put on your cheeseburger? I'll give you time to think about it. Give you a little time because I'm very important question. I'm springing on you guys, and I'll answer first. Mine, well, actually, there's times where it's American cheese, to be honest, because a good American cheese on a burger is nice. But my go-to lately has been pepper jack. Pepper jack with some more spicy stuff on the burger, and it melts real well. And yeah, so I would say right now I'm a pepper jack guy. So Heather, what do you got?
Well, I don't eat burgers anymore. I don't eat meat anymore.
Oh,
But yeah, vegetarian
so a good old
now.
veggie burger.
Yeah, but on a veggie burger, I do like cheddar. But when I did eat cheeseburgers, and I was as a kid, I would not eat a cheeseburger. Give me bread, patty, bread, call it a day. And even now, even when I did eat meat, it would be bread, patty, cheese, bread, nothing else.
Yeah.
So I would eat American. It would be an American cheese on a cheeseburger when I was eating meat. Now I like cheddar. I'll basically, you almost have to put cheese on it no matter what. No matter what kind of cheese it is, to make that taste better when there's no meat. You gotta
Gotta do what you
you
can.
gotta throw I'll take any kind of cheese you got. What do you got?
Gabe, what do you got?
Well, I'm not really much of a cheese guy, but I do American cheese and burgers. Pretty boring answer, but I don't like, when they have those cheese platters with just cheese. I'm not a
Charcuterie boards.
Charcuterie.
Well, that's a fancier, but yeah, I don't really.
Cheese platter.
I'm not a cheese by itself person, so I go with a very boring American cheese.
Say
Not
as a
a cheese connoisseur.
vegetarian, most of my diet is cheese.
Yeah.
Anything that used to be meat is now cheese.
Yeah. Me, everything that you because I kind of cut out carbs.
This is
now.
not for health reasons.
I haven't done
Everyone's
it
like, oh,
for-
it's so healthy.
I
No,
haven't
it's
done a
not.
great job, but pretty much everything that used to be a carb for me is now a cheese. So
Yeah, my diet is 70% cheese.
it's pretty much true. All right, Adam, what do you got, man? Anything different?
Growing up, I'd go to Cecil Whitaker's here. It's a more of a pizza place in St. Louis, but they'd also have burgers. So I'd always go half pizza, half burger. And when I'd get a burger, I'd go provolone cheese, and it was the best,
Provolone?
honestly, in my opinion. Yeah, you go St. Louis provolone cheese, Cecil Whitaker's burger, best combination. Highly recommended.
Interesting.
That does sound
Yeah.
good.
When I worked
do like
at,
Cecil
some of you will
music.
know this place if you grew up in Springfield or whatever. I think it closed recently, but in the old Ebbets Field before the manager change, ownership change, all that stuff. The old Ebbets Field in downtown Springfield. I worked there for a summer, and it was all based on Brooklyn Dodgers was the theme was, and so we made all these burgers that had sort of Dodgers themes, but a lot of them had provolone cheese because it would be provolone, it would be ham, it would be all these other things, and so yeah, I ate a lot of provolone on burgers. It's underrated, not much flavor there to it, but it gives you a nice conduit for other things. And so, yeah, I'd be in favor of a good provolone.
Provolone's a good Philly cheesesteak.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's sacrilegious for if you're from Philly, but that's a good Philly cheesesteak cheese because you got your
for a Missouri
peppers and
cheesesteak,
onions.
provolone's a good choice. For anything
Yeah.
else, Philly, it's probably.
I know in
sacrilege.
Philly they don't do it that way, but when we
Yeah.
made them, that's what we would do.
Yeah. Oh yeah, back to the Cardinals. This is from Bedivere.
No.
Yeah, right.
No, I would talk more about cheese. No.
This is a happier
This
question
episode.
though. From Bedivere, does this bullpen mean that even with a weaker offense than we expected, the Cardinals should be able to hang around 500 and sneak into a wild card spot? So this question is really more about their record, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the bullpen here. What kind of a role do you guys think the bullpen can play in a team winning or losing? Like, is this bullpen, which before some of our injuries was pretty good, is it going to make a difference this year, or is it just not going to be enough?
That offense has got to be a little bit better. It can't be bottom 5 in the league. And you're if it was just a little bit better, if you had bottom 10 in the league instead of bottom 5, your bullpen and the pitching, which has been surprisingly good, could keep you at 500. Offense is just not good right now. They're hard to watch. That's my opinion. I don't know. Someone else go.
Gabe, what do you think? Can a bullpen make up for an offense?
No, but it can make it for subpar starting pitching. But so at the end of the day, it's still up to the offense. I say make up for, but you still need quality starts here and there, which sometimes the starting pitching will get blown up, but for the most part, if you can get to the 7th inning, 6th inning, we have the kind of bullpen that if the offense ever shows up, we should be able to make a name. And then once you get to the playoffs, and the bullpen really takes an important role.
Yeah.
So we'll see, I guess.
Yeah. To me, it's like run prevention is run prevention. So if your rotation's good and you get 6 or 7 innings out of your rotation and you don't have a great bullpen, well, at least you got those innings. If you get 5 or 6 out of if your rotation, excuse me, I've got a little cough today, isn't so hot, but then you get 3 or 4 good innings out of your bullpen, again, run prevention is run prevention. So at least you got good innings at some point. Adam, what do you think?
Yeah, like all of you guys have said, the bullpen can only do so much, to hold down, the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th innings until, they got to have the lead, right? Or at least be within fighting distance. And they haven't really been. And, when they are, they're not getting the run support or, the runs in order to, tie the game or to, potentially take the lead in the late innings. So, because of that, you got guys like Goldschmidt struggling. Arenado was struggling earlier this year. Walker was struggling. Then Victor Scott in the void in center. Other guys just not playing super well. Gorman struggling. Herrera struggling now. There's just a lot of misfortune / guys regressing / guys just not good in general that are out there. For me to say like, yeah, the bullpen is just not going to carry enough, or they don't have enough to do in the lineup to really There's only so much these last 3 guys can do back end.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'd be a real shot in the arm if Goldschmidt could hit a little better in the middle of the lineup.
Well, he was showing some signs of it. I think he will.
Does this. I think I hasn't ever been this prolonged or this bad, but I think that's like kind of a thing that people say about him is he's a slow start.
Yeah.
I don't know why. You think he should just start a little bit earlier so that by the time the season starts, he's ready to go. But That's
I
a
don't-
Matt Holiday thing too.
Did you guys know he is 0 for his last 22?
Who is?
Goldschmidt.
Really?
Goldschmidt, yeah.
Either that or 0 for his last 21. Is in that range. He's walked in that range too. Sometimes why I don't
You
like
know,
people use that is because they have walked a bunch or something. But yeah,
Hmm.
I could see him getting traded at the deadline and some team just getting him and he's just going to take off because the bat speed is still there,
It's
right?
still there.
Like it's not like
Yeah.
weak,
Yeah.
right? Like he's just having trouble barreling it up and, he's off plane. So if he were to find that, he'd just be gone. He'd be like
I haven't given up
3
on
or 4
him.
win first baseman.
By the way,
It
if
would
you can
be a-
hear
it
me
would be
now
a nice
sucking on my cough drop, I apologize. Either that or I cough the whole time. So pick your
Hey.
poison. Maybe that
Yeah.
ASMR of the cough drop sucking bothers you.
This is your flu game.
But
sometimes you gotta sometimes you gotta play hurt.
right. So okay, so weird question. I admit this one is weird. And we'll play with it a little bit, but this guy says, I don't know that I can say this. But it says this mofo is a mofo. That's the name of the commenter. You'll have to think about that one. I'll just let you think about what that one is saying there, and the spelling of it really helps to have the spelling of it. Anyway, it says, should the Cardinals replace Turner Ward? That's not the question. Here's the question. With an elderly Asian gentleman who has all the batters practice Tai Chi, wash cars, catch flies with chopsticks, set up tea ceremonies blindfolded, do the splits on wooden poles, etc. In other words, what they're looking for is if you had to make a movie montage about how to fix the Cardinals offense, how would you do it? And what I want to know is what song you would put behind it. So
say, first of all, this mofo is a mofo. This is real life, not an excellent movie.
right.
Okay.
Now, do we have to talk Karate Kid? Like, is Karate Kid an excellent movie? I haven't seen it for a long time.
I don't know.
Has it held up, like, for real? Like, some of these 80s movies, like, they've held up, but, like, somehow, like, Top Gun did not hold up, folks. Like, it is not what you what you remember, but others did. So
I know
Karate
for
Kid,
someone
did it hold
those are
up, or is it
fighting
just-
words.
No,
I've never
Dave, you're
seen
a movie guy.
I've never seen Karate Kid.
Oh, I think it's kind of charming. I haven't seen it in
Yeah,
a long
you would
time
like it.
though.
So do you know what I'm talking?
saw
Do you
the
know
new
what the
one.
mofo is talking about here with the montage scene? Sure, you've
Yeah.
seen the montage, man.
Well, yes,
Yeah.
yes. I've seen. I know exactly. I mean, I've seen that in some movie. I was wondering if he was referring to the Karate Kid or some other specific movie because, like, this is.
There's like
It's
Rocky where
Karate
he's
Kid.
punching the
Karate Kid.
um,
It's Karate
yeah.
Kid thing there. Yeah. Mhm.
I
That's
know they
the
could use some wax
montage where
on.
he's running.
They
So-
could definitely use some wax on, wax off. I know that.
Yeah.
Some of these players.
Yeah. But seriously though, anyone have any idea what the Cardinals should do to get better? Like in a more serious way? Like is there something that they should be doing besides hitting more fly balls or whatever? Like anything that you're seeing?
We don't even like. I don't know what they're doing behind the scenes though. That's the thing. Maybe they're doing the right
Yeah.
thing. It doesn't work. I have no idea.
Also,
Can it-
believe
can
it
it-
or not,
yes,
I'm also not
yes,
very
yes.
good at baseball. So
Let me ask this a different way. Is it possible? I mean, because we just went through last season too, where we talked about sequencing and all kinds of things and bad luck and hitting. Is it possible for a team to just go this long? I mean, we're only a month and a half, where the whole team is, besides like one player, is just in a slump and not getting it. Like, is that possible, or does that have to be something coached or something taught or something real? Like, is it possible for the whole team just to be struggling all at once?
Probably.
possible.
Likely.
Yeah.
And if that's what we think it is, here's my montage pitch for how to fix them.
All right.
Is shopping spree. We go into a bunch of different stores. A couple of us sit there as someone goes into a dressing room, comes out, ridiculous outfit. You say no. Head. They go back in, come out, even more ridiculous outfit. You're like, no, come on, don't be silly. All while Walking on Sunshine is playing in the background.
Oh.
Then third outfit, go in, absolutely stunning, perfect, and you do this. And then that's the montage. And then their confidence is so high that they are out of their slump and they see pitches better. They're seen in 3-dimensional space. Time slows down. And then, that's
The whole get out of the
that's my
mindset,
pitch.
distraction, think about something else, montage. I'm with you.
Yeah,
on that.
and then it's like it was in you the whole. It wasn't the clothes. It was you the whole time. Yeah, that's my pitch for
You
fixing
know
the
that,
car.
you know what that pitch feels like? It feels like a rom-com where one of the players is just on a bad team, and that he's just
Yeah,
got. Oh no, that the team never
yeah.
turned out.
Fund it.
Love and
who's
learn. There's more
who's
life
the
to baseball.
who's the star of this rom com? Like, is it Newt Bar, or like is it like it's got to be like Dylan Carlson is the one with the least personality at all that is going in there and they're like changing him, like he's getting new outfits.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Like, yeah, it has to be someone that needs new outfits. Yeah. Or maybe Goldschmidt, although
Yeah, but he's too.
yeah.
He's like the dad. It's got to be
He's
like
not he's kind of out of his
it's
rom-com
got to be like
era.
Liebertor or Carlson, like the most straight laced, never
Mhm.
anything but serious kind of guys. With Newt Bar and like Victor Scott up from the minors are taking them shopping on the weekend. That's
Right, like Jordan Walker's got great style
yeah.
and like yeah, they're the ones that are like no, no. And they're like yeah, that's the one.
That's the one.
That's the one. And it's
Carlson's a good pick because man, I've seen some interviews with Libertor. I don't know how you made a leading man out of him.
Yeah.
He's
yeah. That's the point. That's the
It's all
point.
about the directing. You got to have a really good director for that one.
Yeah, we'll coach him up a little bit.
Yeah.
Dutch angle, Dutch angle, Dutch angle.
All right, I
Totally
promised
do.
non sequitur transition. So here we are. We're back to the front office. This is from, let's see, which one should I do? Let's just do this one from Five Alpaca, which I always like to imagine is that there's five alpacas. I don't know
In a
why,
trench
but
coat, typing, typing.
well, now that's exactly what I'm imagining. And he says, when will we be good again? I like being smug. I want to be smug again. Smug was nice. So when will we be good again? And can we just be smug anyway? I kind of want to know that. So Adam, I'll ask you, will the Cardinals ever be good again?
Yeah, this team has had a what? It's a 122, 123 season history. So they've had some success, some success, ups and downs, mostly ups, but yeah, they'll be back there. I mean, they've like we said like earlier, they've fixed the problem, right? Which was in their pitching development. Their hitting, I think, is just kind of having a hiccup now. It's just the perfect storm of, injuries, players, transitioning and they're being older, and the young guys potentially just kind of slumping right now, the guys in their prime. So unfortunate circumstance. Pitching has now been fixed. I was kind of down on that, and I was just like this guy smug. Like like the previous podcast, I was just saying they're like too content or in their success to change, and basically that pretty much changed now with their MO, with their pitching. We have proof of that. So I would say long term, it's going to take maybe a season or two. I said last year, I think this is more of a 2025 or 2026 team. I'm still going to hold on to that, and I still think any success that happens for this team, unless something drastic, were to occur, were to happen, would probably be happening next year or sometime in the latter half of this decade. Not anytime soon, I would feel. I think we're facing the the yang of the 20 years of success yang that we've had before. So now we're facing what everybody else has had to endure. The pain and suffering of what it means to be an MLB fan.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
I would agree with that. It kind of feels like we've become a normal team. That this 2024 Cardinals teams feels like a lot of other teams that I've watched as the visitors. And I mean, we just haven't had that for the last 20 whatever years, it seems like.
Other teams have caught up too.
Yeah.
The Cardinals, I think, not to give them too like more credit than maybe they deserve necessarily, but I think there was player development, drafting, and stuff that they had a little bit of an edge on other teams. And now, it doesn't take long for your cool thing that you've learned to be everyone to know it. I think other teams have kind of caught up to whatever they were doing, whatever the Cardinals' devil magic was. I think other teams have caught up to it. But you can still be smug. Don't let someone tell you that you can't be smug. You can
We're
be
the Cardinals.
being smug. It's easy to be smug when the team is good. Being smug and bad, that's a choice. that's a choice. That's a character choice, and I won't tell you not to do it. 5 Alpaca. You do whatever you want.
In trench coats.
I'll support you.
Cardinals will be good next year when they finally do not call up a top prospect with skipping AAA. Jesus, can we learn our lesson, please?
Yeah.
I cannot believe we did that 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't in Jordan Walker's defense. It's not so much that he's skipping AAA. It's just the kind of player that they skipped, right? It's like Victor that if you're gonna skip AAA, you
I
want it to be
think
like an elite prospect, like a top 10 guy who you can hit for power.
they knew
And
how bad his defense
yeah,
was. I think Jordan Walker is inexcusable. I think that was inexcusable. I'm going to be honest. I think Victor Scott is also
no,
inexcusable.
that's fair. That's fair. I was just offering an alternative explanation.
No, no,
I
I know
agree
what
with
you're
you.
saying. I mean, I was against it, but
Mhm.
also the alternatives that year were like way better last year than they were this year to
Fair.
Victor Scott. But also just in general, like we did not know that his defense, because I don't watch spring training. I didn't know that his defense was like the worst in baseball. They
Yeah, that was bad. That
Yeah.
was shocking.
maybe next year we won't call up who's even a contender for that. Juan Bin Cho. I don't know.
Not
Like
Nathan Church.
I don't
I'm
think
pro
there's a
Nathan Church.
I don't think there's a candidate that fills either of the roles. So we might be good. We might be
Yeah.
good next.
Mhm.
Well, and that brings me to my next question about Simmer Bursa. This is from Jackback 420. Does Simmer Bursa? Now, this is an old question. Remember, we posted our request for questions on Saturday, and obviously a lot's changed since Saturday. So we'll update the question. But here's his original question. He says, "Does Simmer Bursa have a shot at claiming the open rotation spot with Matt's out?" Well, now we know not. And so what I'll do is just sort of rework the question, and that is if Matz ends up being out for a long time, or if another starter gets hurt, would you guys be comfortable taking Robersa, who has had a tiny amount of success, really for not the first time in his career, but he hasn't had like dominant performances throughout, with a little bit of AAA time? Would you give Robersa a shot, or do you want to keep him down for as long as possible to let him prove that? Here, I'm kind of giving my opinion, giving away my answer. Sorry. Kind of prove that his recent success at the beginning of the season is sustainable. So, and I'll start, since you guys are our minor league guys. Adam, I'll start with you. If something happened tomorrow, would you give Roberto a shot, or would you leave him down?
Yeah, no, I'd leave him down, just like how you said. Very unbiased poll writing right there. But
Yeah.
in general, yeah, I'm kidding. But yeah, like, I mean, it's been like what, like 35 innings this year so far in AAA, and he had a handful last year. He's been great, right? But you want to have that success stabilize a little bit longer, maybe over the course of 60, 70, maybe 80 innings. So in terms of, if you're looking at date wise, that would maybe be June, maybe July, in terms of, if you're going to be pushing a little bit later into the 90, 100 range. There's no rush with this guy. He's 22 years old. There's stuff to work on. He's not a perfect prospect. Like, others I've mentioned, his fastball, could use some work. It doesn't have the best, it's more of a cut fastball, honestly, which is why he's throwing the cutter more often. But and he should be doing that. He's having more success, but that doesn't mean that he could still unlock another echelon of velocity. And I was talking with Blake about this a while back, and I actually noticed that a couple of years back, while he was pitching for, I think it was Dunedin Blue Jays and Single A for it was 2021. He actually topped 96 miles an hour, and this season he's been hitting like 92, 93 as his max. So if he can get back to throwing 96 and having that cutter sit in the low 90s, that would be absolutely wild. And that would probably make him, in my opinion, a very firm, like 3 or 4, maybe like for sure a top 100 prospect. If he can get back to that velocity combined with the command and, the two secondaries that he offers that are really nice, the changeup and the slider.
I already shared my opinion. Gabe, do you have another one?
Not really. I mean, yeah, it's just not quite enough time. And I mean, we saw this a couple years ago with Libertor. His numbers look pretty solid in AAA and didn't translate right away. And we were pretty quick with the trigger. So I don't, rush it too much. By the way, a microcosm for why the Cardinals suck this year. They just had the bases loaded. Arenado and Goldschmidt upcoming. Didn't score.
Oh,
Arenado popped out. Goldschmidt struck out. Like, if your best hitters aren't coming through, like, what do you like?
what do you do?
Yeah, like that's
Strikeout too and a pop out or brutal.
Wow.
At least Ryan Fernandez had a strikeout in an inning and a third, and he's still going, I think, right now.
Hey, there's
Yeah.
another bright spot, man. Ryan Fernandez. My gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
I was ready to cut that guy early in spring. Not because I thought it was bad, just because of all these because of Nate Robertson, because of others, that have been good. Riley O'Brien, I think, which I think he's on the IL. I missed what happened to O'Brien.
Nate Robertson was the pitcher for the Tigers. Nick Robertson is on the Cardinals.
That's right. See, I can't even say their names right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. The guy, you know who I'm talking about. That one guy.
Everyone knows.
that one
We know.
random whatever. So speaking about when I was gone, I've got to go down. I've got to answer a question here. Did I lose it? Oh, there it is. Now I do not speak Spanish at all, like at all. I took a ton of French though. This is really weird. Took a ton of French in high school and college, and so if people talk to me in Spanish, I know enough of the
romance languages.
yeah, and I took Greek and I took Latin, so I know enough of the sort of romance language roots and things that I can kind of understand what someone is asking. So Blue Ridge Bird fan asked in Spanish. I'm not going to try to say it because I don't want to embarrass myself, but he basically asked, what makes Paraguayan empanadas unique? That's what he wants to know. And so I'm the only one equipped to answer this question. I think. Have any of you ever been to Paraguay? No one's ever been to Paraguay. There's no reason to go to Paraguay.
Never been to South America.
Have any of you ever been to South America before? Okay.
No.
All right. Okay.
Oh no, I haven't.
Yeah. Have any of you ever had an empanada before?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Good.
My grandmother used to make them all the time.
Okay. There you go. Right. Did she make them fried?
No, she'd bake them.
She baked them. All right. There you go. So one of the differences between like South American, especially like Argentinian and Paraguayan empanadas, is that they will sometimes be fried, but they will usually be baked. And I don't know really anything that makes Paraguayan empanadas unique. Because everything from Paraguay, a lot of this stuff is just borrowed from the more dominant powers around them in Chile and Argentina and Brazil. But one of the cool things about the place we were staying in Paraguay is that you could just like walk over to this pizza place called Bonanza, is what it was called, which I thought was hilarious. But you could go to this Paraguayan pizza place called Bonanza, and they eat dinner really late there, like 8, 9 o'clock at night. And so we would eat at normal time, and then like 8 or 9, we would like want a snack or we would want ice cream. And so we'd walk down to this little pizza place, and they always had empanadas there. And their empanadas, I think, I'm not sure, it definitely wasn't pie crust, were made with really thin crust pizza dough and then filled with a really like light chicken or beef filling. Paraguayans don't have a lot of spice in their food, and so it was really light stuff. But the combination of like baked pizza dough with this filling, no sauce or anything, it was a little bit dry, but it was really good. It was really great at like 9 o'clock at night.
Like a calzone.
Like a calzone. It basically was a calzone, except it didn't have
good.
Italian.
But it like an empanada calzone.
So that's what I would say is unique about Paraguayan empanadas, is that their food is not spicy and it's similar to everything else around there. But if you haven't had a good empanada, go get yourself an empanada because they were totally worth it. And don't fry it. Don't fry it. Just bake it. Let's bake it. All right, that's all I got on Paraguay. Let's move back up to some pitching questions. From Teddy Rugby. Will Matz come back as a starter or a reliever? Now we're only got about 5 minutes left here, so we're gonna do some quick hit questions. And so I will throw this out to Adam. Matz, would you want him to come back as a starter or a reliever, or do the Cardinals even have a choice?
Well, what I want is for them to kind of, play it safe and see how Liberatore adjusts to maybe 65 pitches instead of 50 like last time. But I mean, they're paying Steven Matz $12 million this year. So I think when he comes back, depending on the, the degree of the injury, maybe he has a rehab stint in Springfield or Memphis or wherever, then he hops back in the rotation. But I think that's probably what's going to happen. But I honestly would like to still see if Liberatore can extend himself. If they see, with a young controllable guy, why not, and see. But I think what's going to happen is they're going to put, once he comes back, Matz in rotation.
By the way, Liberatore's K rate is up to 20% on the season, which isn't awesome, but it is a lot better than it was early in the season. So it's starting to give me a little hope that he might settle in here. Okay, second question. Again, fast answers here. This is for Gabe from the Hoff. It's not a question, it's a statement, but I'm going to phrase it to you in the form of a question. He says, if DC, Dylan Carlson, could come back and just be average all around, it would be huge for the outfield and the team overall. So I'm asking you, Carlson's back. Can he be average overall, or is Carlson kind of done?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he could be average. I mean, depends on how long it takes him to adjust to his swing with his injury. And I got to tell you, I went to the game last night and he looked terrible. He looked terrible.
He looked terrible. Yeah. The good thing is he looked terrible, and we know that he doesn't always look that terrible, so it can only get better, right? That's the hope.
Yeah, that's the spirit.
Zero Bateman. He looks like.
Yeah.
The good thing is he looked terrible, which means he can only look better.
Hey, we're trying to be optimistic here, right?
I love it. I love it.
That is spin. That's serious.
That is true. Yeah, that is true.
All right. So this one is for Heather from Game 7, 2011. I don't know if you saw that game or not, but it was good. If you listen to an audiobook of the book, is it still appropriate to say that you read the book? Heather.
Oh no.
I've got opinions.
Yeah, I think
I'm an
so.
audiobook guy.
Yeah, because you know what? Not everyone can read books. And are you going to deny, people reading? Because you're still doing all the same. Like, okay, if you read a book out loud to yourself, have you not read it?
Ooh, that's a good take. That's a really
Yeah.
good take.
It's like saying Stephen Hawking is incapable of writing because he like speaks through a computer when he was alive.
So
right? He still
I
has the
totally
knowledge to do so. It's just that he's not able, physically.
Yeah, I totally think that counts as reading the book for sure.
Viva Birdos, where we have the right opinion on everything, including books.
I've spoken. That's it.
That's the way it is. Yeah. Okay. This is for Gabe. At THP 0344. Sorry, I'm only going to do one of your questions because we answered the other one already. Has your opinion of the other NL Central teams changed, Gabe?
Not really. I mean, I feel like the Cubs were pretty solid last year, and they're pretty solid this year. I'm looking at the Brewers roster. Honestly, I'm having trouble buying in.
Yeah.
Who's their like center fielder? Blake Perkins, 28-year-old.
Jackson Churio.
Oh no, it's right fielder. Blake Perkins,
top prospect.
No, not him. I'm sorry. The right fielder. Blake Perkins is playing every day. That guy's like stash on
Blake
your.
Perkins is pretty good.
Don't think he is. That's my thing.
He's a one-WAR player so far. 129 WRC.
What he has been, I don't think he's for real. That's my point. And there's Bryce Trang. He was like a 60 work hitter. Now all of a sudden he's a good hitter. I don't know. I'm having trouble. And the rotation is like in way worse shape than ours. Like way worse. They got Freddie Peralta and let's pray. And I just. So the Brewers, I still hold the same opinion about them. I mean, long term, everybody's kind of scary, maybe, but like so are we, maybe. So I don't know if it's really changed for me.
All right. Adam, this is for you. Oh, no. Have I answered one? I did the empanadas one. Yeah. So, Adam, this is for you. From Teddy Rugby. Do you think the Cards can fill the very important empanada question? Do you think the Cards can fill a rotation spot or two internally next year? Do you think they can?
Yeah, I mean, I would assume that Robersa would be ready by 2025 or at some point. Maybe Tin Kent will be, and maybe Graceffo could be like a fifth or sixth guy or provide some sort of inning, coverage. What else am I missing? Takoa might be ready by then. Hopefully, he's got some command issues he's got to iron out by then. But if we're talking 2025, that's still another at this point 11 months from now. A lot can happen with these guys in terms of the development in the off season and during the season right now. So. We'll see what happens. But I think by then, I think you're going to have 2, maybe 3, if not potentially more, because who knows what happens this deadline. They could acquire more pitching depth and guys that are filling that, kind of fitting that tier with the guys I just mentioned. So I think you're going to have at least 2, if not 3, or maybe even more guys, young guys, prospect worthy guys that are going to be filling the rotation next year at some point.
Yeah, hope so. They need it. They desperately need it. So I want to make mention here, Huey RVA, you had a couple questions for us. We have answered them already through other things. And so I just wanted to make sure you got the shout out because you did acknowledge that and put yourself out there. And so, yeah, thanks for the questions, man. Last question that I've got for me, then I've got one for Heather. Lawbird asks, will anything ever be enough or will people continue to complain no matter what? And Lawbird, I'm going to complain
He's
about
such a sadist.
Yes, no, nothing will ever be enough. And yes, we are going to complain about everything. That is what a comment section of a public fan site is for. That's what VVB has existed for its whole time. It's not analysis.
Mhm.
It's complaining. That's what it's.
I
Sorry to
love
pull
that
back the
question.
curtain, but there you go.
Yeah.
All right, so our last one is for Heather, and it is site related. And so DB Dub, who has contributed a lot to us,
Mhm.
asks, and so I'm just going to let you basically make this as sort of your own rant and or answer, because we haven't answered it anywhere else. Are fan posts ever coming back? And he says, I know VEB staff wasn't responsible for their disappearance, also true, but I miss reading them and contributing to them. Any insights there, Heather?
So, what happened? We were getting a ton of spam fan posts.
High view
Like-
spam, though. I mean, those were some seriously high viewed spam.
Yeah,
posts.
we're getting
Who in the
great
world was
clicks on the
clicking on those
spam
things?
posts. I was looking at those. I'm like, dang, why are these performing better than some of our like actually good stuff? Like, dang. But no, we were getting bombarded with spam. We could, and it was just, I guess, I don't know, but basically there was a couple sites that were getting like overwhelmed with these spam posts, and so they decided, the overlords decided to just take the fan post down, and I didn't say anything because I was under, and to be fair to the overlords, they didn't, I don't know why I had this impression, because there was nothing about what they said that should have given me this impression. I thought it was going to be like a week or two. I didn't realize it was going to be like a whole month, or I don't know how long. It's been 2 months now. So otherwise I would have said, hey, and now it's like, it feels like it's too late to be like, I think you've noticed the fan posts are gone. But yeah, so they should be coming back. They just need to figure out how to, I guess, keep the spam posts off the fan posts.
Fan posts from the fan posts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure.
One thing that I'd
I'm not
offer,
sure the time frame.
Yeah, one thing I'd offer is that if you go on the masthead for the site, my email is there, and Heather has given her email at various times. And so if you got a fan
and mine's
post,
on there now too. I think.
is it okay? Yeah. So if you got a fan post that you really that you want to make, just email it to one of us, and we'll read it and evaluate it and decide whether it's good enough.
We'll figure something out.
We'll figure something out because especially like some of you that have done really great ones in the past, I don't have a problem. We can just post those one day.
Yeah.
And it'd be
I miss them. Yeah. I liked using them to contribute to the site on a Friday afternoon. Be like, hey, check this out. It's great.
Yeah, we could use the content. So if you want some, throw them our way, because some of us have been busy and that's how life goes. So yeah. All right, that's a wrap. We got through almost all the questions. I know some of you didn't get mentioned, and I apologize for that, but hopefully your question got answered either through another question or through our general conversation. But I just want to thank you for being so active on the Q&As, and it's great to know that every time we do one of these things, we're going to have dozens of questions, more questions than what we have the time to answer, and they're good questions, and they're interesting questions and diverse questions, and we just really appreciate that. So next time we're together, we'll have Blake with us, and we might have an outside guest, and we'll be talking minor leagues. And so look for that. We were going to do like a minor league season preview, but I think at this point it's going to be a minor league update, because I decided to go out of the country for a while. So look for that coming up soon, and hopefully the Cardinals can get out of this funk. So any final words from you guys?
In Mo we trust.
Yeah, let's hope.
Not really.
Yeah, in the meantime, I guess in Ivan Herrera, who we haven't talked about yet, in Ivan Herrera we trust. Who is capable. I mean, he could be, not that he can be Contreras, but he could be an above replacement level catcher, hopefully, maybe.
To go just a moment past to the fan post idea. If somebody wants to contact Big John Mize, I think he wants to write a draft preview, and if one of us can put his draft aside, that would be fantastic.
See, we have ways of making that happen.
We do. Yeah. Talk to us, or we'll talk to you, and whatever. So yeah. Hey guys, thanks for our writers here joining us today. Gabe, thanks for joining us on short notice, man. Thanks for hopping in there. Skyrick, sorry man, sorry you couldn't make it.
Coming off the bench.
Yeah, we'll get Skyrick back in here soon. But yeah, again, minor league's coming up soon, and thanks for everyone on the site for the great questions today. And from I've lost the ability to talk, definitely time to end. From Adam, from Heather, and from Gabe, and from Skyrock who couldn't be there, I'm JP. We'll see you around the side. Have a great week.